But I wanted to start out with my rant from today's HartmannReport.com, my daily rant that we push out to people. If you sign up, you get it in your email box for free, no ads, no cost. And the headline is Tucker Carlson inciting racist police and Karens? And I put Karens in quotes. There was a time, I don't know, maybe 2-3 months ago, where I wrote an op-ed and also tweeted saying, why don't we call them Ivankas instead of Karens? I mean, I know some really nice Karens. And I got all this blowback from people saying, oh, Karen is a boomer name. Hey, hey, boomer, and all this. It was weird. But, I can't change that. It's kind of been, seized by our culture, shall we say. So anyhow, it's Tucker Carlson inciting racist police and, quote, Karens to harm minorities. This latest stunt, it's been characterized in the media where Tucker Carlson said, and I'll give you the exact quote here, he said, your response when you see children wearing masks as they play should be no different from your response to seeing someone beat a kid in Walmart. Call the police immediately. Contact Child Protective Services. Keep calling until someone arrives. What you're looking at is abuse. It's child abuse, and you are morally obligated to attempt to prevent it. What we're talking about here is a child wearing a mask. Now, Bill O'Reilly spent the better part of a year trying to get George Tiller out of the way. He called him Tiller, the baby killer, 24 times on television on the air, referenced him over 40 times. And, his efforts finally succeeded in May of 2009 when anti-abortion crazy murdered Dr. Tiller. It looks like Tucker Carlson is trying to also create a fair amount of pain and human misery. Keep in mind, this month is the 1-year anniversary of Donald Trump realizing, that was April 7th, realizing that the virus was mostly killing black people and it was mostly happening in blue states. And that was the point at which the Trump administration officially decided, and I document this in great detail. If you want the links to it, again, go to today's article at HartmannReport.com, and it's all right there, including, what Limbaugh said, what all the right-wing commentators were saying, what FreedomWorks was saying, the campaign that they ran, the Liberate Michigan, all this. It all happened in a 2-week period right after the news story came out that it was mostly black people dying from COVID. So, Trump, clearly a racist effort, in my opinion. Well, on this anniversary, this 1-year anniversary, now it looks like the white supremacist right and their most prominent hero, Tucker Carlson, are trying to do the same thing all over again, put the lives of as many people of color at risk as possible, while gleefully making life tough for them. We used to think, by use, I mean like 3-4 months ago, we thought that vaccine hesitancy was an issue in the black community. Turns out, and there were all these things about we got to teach black people that it's not Tuskegee anymore. Turns out that was complete, white person nonsense. The black community knew better than anybody that they were dying at higher rates of this disease. They were more likely to wear masks. They're more likely to be vaccinated. So because black people and Hispanic people are more likely to be wearing masks and more likely to have their kids wearing masks because they understand the dangers of this, and they realize they're more vulnerable to it than by and large wealthy white people for a whole variety of reasons. When some ass comes along on Fox News and says, hey, if you see a kid with a mask on, you should call Child Protective Services, it's more likely than not he's actually talking about call the cops on a black kid. Seriously. And if you think Tucker and his friends at Fox News hadn't figured this out before they went on this campaign, I got a bridge to sell you. And while this, kind of helped amp up his ratings, his sagging ratings over at Fox, Rachel had been beating him. Now he's back on top. What they're really doing is they're encouraging an entire nationwide army of Karens, of harassers, to harass minorities who are simply going about their own business and trying to avoid a disease. And I'm telling you, police power against people of color in this country is brutal. We see this every day on television as another unarmed black person gets killed. But Louise and I, 40 years ago, worked in this field with Child Protective Services. And I still remember when Louise went to court on behalf of two kids. It was a 10 and 11 or 10 and 12-year-old sibling group, a brother and sister, who a judge wanted to take out of foster care and put in the children's prison in the state of New Hampshire because this foster home was vegetarian, and he considered that child abuse. This is a very opaque system. Now, 90% of the time it works really well and does great stuff and protects a lot of kids. But it's really hard to appeal. It can be really scary, particularly for low-income parents and for minority parents. And if we're talking about undocumented people, it's triple scary. And that is what Tucker is suggesting white people should be using against people of color who are trying to protect their children from a disease. This is a terror campaign. I mean, and not only that, if he can cause enough people of color to be afraid to put masks on their kids or themselves for fear that they're going to be turned into the Child Protective Services, then they won't wear masks and they're more likely to get sick.